Named one of the Wall Street Journal's 10 best places to go in 2025, Traverse City is northern Michigan magic. Think sparkling blue waters, golden dunes, and of course, incredible food. This summer marks the debut of the Traverse City Food and Wine Festival, running August 20th through 24th. The event highlights both national and local chefs including Tyler Florence, Ji-Hae Kim, Mei Lin, and Kate Williams, and features ticketed dinners, a grand tasting tent, and wine tasting. Visit traversityfoodandwine.com for details. I love Maine lobster for its versatility in the kitchen and its iconic flavor. The sweetest lobster on earth, prepared in pasta, served chilled in a salad, and of course in a lobster roll. Maine's lobster fishery is among the most sustainable in the world, with every lobster harvested by hand, one trap at a time, from independently owned and operated day boats. Maine lobster can be purchased year-round, fresh or frozen, raw or pre-cooked, shell on or shell off, and with ready-to-eat and ready-to-use options. Visit lobsterfrommaine.com for details.
For me, having a fashion background, and that sort of like helped me perhaps create this vision for how I see my way of cooking or how I want to showcase Filipino cuisine my way. And so I'm creating this sort of vision. Similarly to like when a designer shows a collection, they're telling a story.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Eliza Barbanel. Woldy Reyes is a New York-based chef and the founder of the boutique catering company Woldy Kusina. He's become known for creating modern, fashionable, plant-based food, and now he's sharing it all in a debut cookbook, In the Kusina, My Seasonal Filipino Cooking. Today, Woldy talks about the inspiration behind In the Kusina, his Filipino pantry essentials, karaoke, and more.
And at the top of the show, it's the return of three things, where Eliza and I talk about what is exciting us in the world of restaurants, cookbooks, and the food world as a whole. Hey, Eliza, what's up?
Not much. You want to do three things?
Let's do it. I'll start. I was recently in Portland, and I have to call out a shop that I know has been around since 2006. We published the owner's books. His name is Mark Bitterman. He's written books about salt and bitters. The shop is called The Meadow. Have you been to a Meadow location in Portland ever?
I've seen it, but I haven't been in.
Terrific store. And I went to the one on Mississippi Avenue. And what he's focusing on here at the store, it's really, really interesting. It's chocolate, salt, bitters, and fresh cut flowers.
I love that.
It's a glorious experience to walk in and see a wall of chocolates from all over the world and just look at the packaging just to start. The shopkeeper was so knowledgeable and took me through all the chocolates and some recommendations, and it was such a delightful experience to learn about the chocolates from the expert working there. And really, I think like having a store like this in New York would be trouble for me because I love this bean to bar chocolate. And then on the bitter side, Mark runs his own bitters company, but there's a bunch of bitters from around the world, and bitters are used, of course, in cocktails, but they can be used in kind of quasi-NA if you want to do a bitters and soda, which is low ABV, and of course the salt, which he's known for, and we published one of his books here, and really it's about the book is about cooking with the salt block, but there's lots of finishing salts there. So if you're looking to get a gift while you're in Portland, or just in general live in Portland and want to stock your pantry, it's a beautiful store. It's called The Meadow.
Yeah, it sounds great.
What's your first thing?
My first thing, here in New York, I got to go to Taqueria El Chato for the first time, which is a newer taqueria that opened in Greenpoint from the team behind Aldama. So Chris Reyes and the chef is Gerardo Alcaraz. They make their tortillas fresh on site every day with Hacienda corn that they're nixtamalizing every night. I got to have some good tacos. I think the best thing that I had, though, was a mushroom like vampiro, and it was like very juicy, like thick mushrooms is probably the only way I could describe it, which I feel like I love a mushroom taco, but sometimes they're kind of like the afterthought. But really everything at this taqueria, the asado, the stuff on the trompo, it was all so good, and they're making all their own salsa. And I think, Greenpoint has a couple good taco spots already, but this one is kind of closer to the Nassau Ave stop. So I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it.
I love a good vampiro, and sometimes when I'm in LA, I'll have like a few vampiros, and it's a lot when you have like 3 or 4 vampiros. So to have a mushroom version that stands up to any of the proteins offered sounds incredible. I want to order that.
Yeah, I mean, it's very awesome. You can choose like whatever protein you want, and if you want it to be in a taco or a quesadilla or a vampiro or like whatever. But I really think that the vampiro is a good vehicle for mushrooms, so I enjoyed this a lot.
Love that. Can't
What's
wait
your
to
next
visit.
thing?
My next thing is I'm having an overnight oats moment. And I just wanted to share that with you because
I love this.
I've never really gotten overnight oats, and I don't know why, because I finally tried Mush, which is a brand that's been around. You find it at a lot of grocery stores. The peanut butter mush is incredible. Have you? It's like overnight oats is working for me. 15 grams of protein, super savory, perfectly balanced. I really like this product, Mush Peanut Butter.
I've never tried the brand, but I do make overnight oats at home. So I think especially now that it's getting like warmer out, it's a great kind of like way to start the day.
How do you do it?
I just have like a base recipe. I think it's an old Bon Appetit one, and I just keep it very plain because then I'll add, jam or peanut butter, or maybe I'll even do it savory with like avocado or sauteed mushrooms or something. I think it just kind of depends on the day. But I do love a peanut butter overnight oat situation. So I get what you're getting at.
It was great. And I'm now on a search for more products and gonna maybe make my own at home.
Yeah, I think it is, if you have the time to think ahead, it's very easy.
Definitely. What's your next thing?
My next thing is that I went to a new Thai tea place in New York that I really enjoyed. It's called Nuar, Nuar. And they do kind of dessert like pandan ice cream and kaya toast, but also Thai tea. And I specifically wanted the Thai tea and went with a group of friends, tried a couple flavors. I got the oat milk version because I don't normally drink a lot of dairy, but I think the oat milk one is much better than the dairy one. I don't know why. I don't know, maybe like the seasoning is a little bit different, but it felt like it had more of like a toasty depth of flavor. The sweetness is not too sweet. It really is like the best Thai tea that I've had in New York, and I'm excited. I have plans to go back with Ali Damrungchai, who we just had on the podcast talking about Thai food. So I'm interested for her opinion, but I really enjoyed it. And also the part of Manhattan that it's in, they have like the benches they have by office buildings.
Yeah.
Like there's like a kind of organic place to sit outside right there because it's by all these office buildings.
Like a public space?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know why I can't think of
That's
the word
okay.
public space. There is like public seating right outside, so you can, get your stuff to go. They're definitely like very busy and just open. So I think they're figuring out how the line works a little bit still.
Yeah.
But Noir Thai tea on 27th between 6th Ave and Broadway. So right off of Madison Square Park.
Okay, great. I'm gonna stop by. I love that there's a new Thai tea place to check out. Love that.
Yeah. What's your next thing?
My last thing is a book that is being published in August, and it was published originally in the UK, so it's out there, but we're seeing it here in the States in August. It's from Rosie Kellett. It's called In for Dinner. I really, really enjoyed this book. I got an early copy of it, and I got to page through it, and I just really, it's giving me a lot of Jamie Oliver 1996. Like, it's her version of cooking for her friends via pop-ups. She's a chef and food writer and has a Substack, and she's cooking for her friends in East London, and the energy is real. I love the way the book is lit. The photography is very, very cool, and I just think the recipes speak to me, and really, which is challenging because there's so many recipes in so many books, as you know. There's a savory corn French toast with cherry tomato salsa. She does a fun thing where she's doing tomato soup 2 ways, one for spring, summer, one for autumn, winter. And I like the energy. I like the way this book is designed. And I look forward to having her on the podcast later on in the year.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, it's Rosie Kellett, In for Dinner. What's your last one?
My last one is that I went to Cocodoc for the first time.
Yes.
Have you been?
Yeah, I've been there. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's been very talked about since it opened in New York from the team behind Cote, the steakhouse. And I went for a friend's birthday, which I think is kind of like the right reason to go. It definitely feels like a celebratory occasion restaurant. The food I thought was really good. It definitely was like all very salty. Like I felt that if we had Lambrusco on the table, which kind of like cut through everything. But I felt if we didn't have that, it probably would have been too much. But I still wanted to talk about it because I think that like the team behind Cocodoc really knows what people want out of a restaurant in New York right now. Like every table is a booth. which I love. I love like piling in a booth with my friends. That's one of the biggest things I would want to do for a birthday. The fried chicken is delicious and, totally what people are craving, and the bucket list kind of short menu that they have set up. Like, I think you get a lot of food in terms of banchan and like the chicken consomme, and then obviously the fried chicken and a little dessert at the end. Yeah. And the service I thought was really great. Like, I felt really taken care of. And even the fact that you walk into the restaurant and they have this huge like trough sink set up so that you can wash your hands before you get into the restaurant. One of my friends that I was with was like, that's so weird. Why would there be a sink here? And I was like, no, it's awesome because they know that you're coming off of the subway and that you're about to go eat with your hands. And instead of creating a traffic jam in the bathroom inside of the restaurant, they're creating this moment for you to like wash the city off of you and then just like dive into your meal. And I think that like that element of care is really evident throughout the meal. And it was just kind of like a fun experience. It was very busy. I can tell that they're like selling a lot of fried chicken. But, I think to pile in a booth and have some good fried chicken, like what's not good about that?
Yeah, Simon Kim runs a great restaurant, and I think that the wine service there is exceptional as well. So that saltiness is probably selling bottles of wine.
Yeah, I think that totally is why they do that. And I know that the Times Review like also talked about how there's a lot of salt and sugar going on. So I don't mean to be like echoing that, but I did find, when I was there eating that it could have been a little less and it would have been even better, but I am sure that they are selling a lot of champagne to go with it.
And on my visit, I actually used it in reverse. So I used the sink on the way out because my hands were coated with gochujang glaze, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can leave this restaurant and not have sticky fingers. So
yeah, I think to feel cared for in that kind of way when you go out to eat is one of the biggest points. So I really enjoyed it.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thanks for sharing your 3 things.
Yeah, you too. Woldy, Reyes, this is Taste. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited and nervous at the same time.
You don't have to be nervous. We're going to have so much fun.
I hope so. Oh, maybe we should take a shot of tequila before. But
oh my God.
I'll think about it like in my mind as I'm doing it.
I'll keep a bottle in the studio for the future. That's honestly a good idea.
Yes. Just if somebody has jittery nerves, like tequila or mezcal usually helps with that.
Yeah.
At least for me.
We were doing our little vocal exercises off.
Oh, right. Oh, I can't even do it right now.
Oh, should I do this sound on the air?
There we go.
Did you watch High School Musical?
Watch the movie.
Yeah, the movie.
I see snippets of it, and yeah.
That's what it always reminds me of, is like when they're doing their drama nerd walking around the school doing the vocal warm-ups.
Just exercising their throats, and so that like things come out as smooth and angelic as possible.
Just like this podcast.
I don't know if this can be angelic, but we'll see.
We'll see. It'll be something in between.
Yes.
I'm really excited to have you in the studio to talk about your really beautiful new book, In the Kusina. And I have a lot of questions about that. But I guess to start, I'm wondering if you can tell me about an early food memory that you have that kind of informed your point of view or your approach.
Yeah. So one of my main memory of food is basically, I mentioned this in the book, is my time with my dad. My dad's no longer alive, but when I was a kid, my dad would make this celebratory goat stew called caldereta kambing. It's only he makes it during like a large family celebration, and it's such a process. So I remember my brothers and I would tag along with my dad to a goat farm in Southern California, and he would pick out a goat, and then the person would take the goat into, I don't know, a farm house and get it slaughtered. And then I just remember being put in like a black black garbage bag, and then he would bring it back to our house, and he would make this sort of like a bonfire in our backyard. And he had this large cauldron, and he would have all of his mise en place. Like, I remember chopped garlic, jalapeno, chicken liverwurst, black olives, Budweiser beer, and then all the chopped up goat meat is in this sort of crate, like a metal crate. And then would be in my mom's and dad's bedroom because it would look out into the backyard, and I would just like watch him do like cook everything. And in my mind, I thought like this is kind of weird because I'm like I just see things on television or other neighbors have their grill out in the backyard and just like grill burgers and hot dogs, but here he has like wood and a large cauldron and simmering goat meat, and it would be cooked overnight, and so you could sort of smell the wood burning, and then the smell of goat stewing in tomato and Budweiser beer, and it was just such a process.
Yeah.
It's like watching him do this sort of like ritual of this goat stew, and that was his sort of like signature dish in all the large parties that we would host, and it would be such a like obviously a hit. So that was just for me like watching like an animal go from like like out into the land and into being, you know, cut up and then go home and cook it. It was like you're seeing food go from like all the process. And then the second memory was just like being with my grandmother. Like she would just have a very verdant garden, and she would just snip bitter melon or sugar snap peas, and then it would just literally go from there to her kitchen, and she would cook, you know, her dishes that she would like feed me and my my aunt and uncles who live with my grandmother. So I think just seeing the where food comes from or how it's grown or where it is from watching it from like start to finish is kind of like an amazing memory, and it's just like ingrains. It just like informs how I kind of cook. It's like seeing like, you know, when I'm upstate at my house and visiting the roadside farms, I kind of like, you know, have that sort of like nostalgic memory of like where food comes from. So yeah, those two like memories really, you know, stayed with me, and that's how I kind of like want to cook. It's like where food comes from, and you pick it out or you grow it, and then hopefully make a really beautiful, delicious meal.
Yeah, I love both of those memories. And in the introduction to your book, you were talking about this whole experience of watching this goat get selected and slaughtered and cooked. And you made a plant-based cookbook. And so I was really like, I kind of loved that you had this memory in there, because I think it shows that like your decision to do mostly plant-based food like isn't coming from a lack of awareness about what it means to be like whole animal cooking and to be like respecting where this animal comes from. When did you start focusing on like plant-based food and cooking specifically?
I think it was just like for me, it was like exploring like the types of like food that I was going to like how I'm going to nourish myself. So, and when I do a lot of catered events, there's, you know, I'm being told like there's dietary restrictions. So I just use it as an opportunity to be creative. And so when there are sort of like dairy-free, vegan, and primarily like a lot of my clients, you know, are those.
They're the fashion girlies.
They're fashion girlies. So I am a fashion girly as well. So, but I take it as an opportunity to be creative in how I'm going to make a really nourishing meal or dish. So I use that as sort of like, okay, I'm gonna like how I'm gonna not make it sort of like meat focused, but like more light and fresh.
Yeah.
And but still be satiated. So when I was cooking for those clients, I'm like, I'm left with all these foods, so like I'll be eating them. So it's like, oh, it's really good. So it's just kind of like, you know, shifted my perspective and like how I want to like nourish myself. I'm no means like a vegan. I'm like perhaps more of a conscious eater. So when I was wanting to like perhaps like write this book, I was like, I don't want to do like a traditional Filipino cookbook. And there are cookbooks that are out there that already sort of celebrates that, like Nicole Fonseca, like I Am Filipino, Angela and Demi Yuga's cookbook. And this is sort of like my way of like thinking similarly, like how I would like, cater a client, I'm like, I'm going to be like focusing on like my vision for like how I want my Filipino cooking to be. So, and I live in New York, and so there are seasons. So to me, when I was living in California, I was born and raised in Southern California, there's no season, so you can get things in abundance. But here it's like I'm informed by the farmer's market, and it's like what's available. So that was kind of like a roadmap of like how I would cook, just following through the season. So you're just like, oh, here, and when you're cooking through the seasons, it's like you're celebrating and the flavors of the produce that's grown during that season, especially summer when we get closer to summer.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like the modern interpretation of like Filipino cooking is like following the season, but also bringing in, Filipino pantry ingredients into it, or reimagining classic Filipino dishes, but in my interpretation of it, and utilizing the farmer's market or the seasons as sort of like the main component in the dish.
Yeah, so this is the title of the book is In the Kusina, and the tagline is My Seasonal Filipino Cooking. So that's where that idea kind of comes through. And I also grew up in California and then later on moved to New York. And it is kind of wild to realize like the mentality that you find yourself in when you've only been eating carrots and potatoes all winter. Like I have this theory that ramps, I hate to say this, I don't think ramps are that great. I just think it's the first new thing that's available to people. So I don't think people on the West Coast get as excited about ramps because they, like my mom already has nectarines at the farmer's market.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Like I didn't really know ramps was such a thing until like I just got sucked into like, oh my God, ramps. It's like their excitement for it. And to your point, it's like it's the first thing that sort of like comes, I guess, alive.
Yes.
So, and I actually quite enjoyed ramps just because I think the flavor is like slightly garlicky, slightly oniony.
I mean, they're definitely good. What do you like to do with them?
Well, in my book, I definitely like there's only one recipe that has ramps in it. And it's in the pancit salad in the spring section of the cookbook. But if you can't find ramps, you can obviously use scallions. I feel like think scallions and ramps are kind of similar.
They are.
But obviously like ramps has this sort of like very tender green top, like sort of like shaped like a banana leaf almost, but like smaller. You can make salt, butter, aioli. There's an endless amount of things that you could do with ramps.
Yeah, I don't mean to like demean ramps. Our friend Noreen is like the world's biggest ramps fan.
I'm seeing her like, shout out to Noreen. Like she has a cookbook coming out in 2026, I think. But I just love seeing her use ramps in multiple forms.
Yes.
So it's always very inspiring. I'm like, oh wow, and she does such a beautiful way of like.
Don't tell her I said this. I know it's going to be.
Well, it's on a podcast,
but...
girl. It's like if it makes it to the cut.
No, I'll leave it in just so that like everyone knows that I'm honest. But what are the other spring, early summer ingredients that you get really excited to see? Because I feel like you go to the market all the time when you're here in New York.
When I get the chance.
Yeah.
But it's so exciting just to see the things that are like grown, or especially like now it's spring. Ramps is obviously the top of mind, but also at the same time, like I'm excited about like like the young broccoli yellow flowers. That's like so beautiful that you can like garnish it, and it's just so delightful just to start to see like floral, like edible florals that is like grown. So I'm excited about like asparagus, sugar snap peas, and my favorite season is definitely summer. So in my book I mentioned like it's going to be like a hot girl summer, or it's just like it's sexier, because we're wearing less clothes.
We have tomatoes.
Like things that you can like eat just like by itself.
Yeah.
Like, just the tomato, I can just eat like a sanggol as if they're like a bag of Skittles. And the juicy like peach, I just like enjoy like eating that the peach itself when it's like juicy, and the juice like runs down like the side of your lips and it goes down to your neck, and hopefully someone's there to lick you. But
It's getting hot in the studio.
it's getting really hot in here.
Not as hot as like it should be outside, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
The way that you're talking about fruit and produce and this kind of like this prized cult status that it has, I think is so relatable to, I think, a lot of people who love food and like kind of waiting for the seasons in this kind of way. And it makes me think about the way that food has become so popular in like culture in general. And, you know, back to what we were saying earlier about how you are a fashion girly and like you do food a lot in that context. I'm curious like what your fashion background you think like brings to your view of food?
Yeah. So I think like, you know, for me, having a fashion background, and working with like a designer or have worked with a designer and worked for a fashion magazine, is that you have to have a vision. And so that sort of like helped me perhaps create this vision for how I see like my way of cooking, or how I want to showcase Filipino cuisine my way. And so I'm creating this sort of vision and this world, I guess. And you're basically telling it like you're telling a story.
Yeah.
Similarly to like when a designer shows a collection, they're telling a story. And how I look at food and making a dish, I'm basically telling like a story. And it's a reflection of like my taste, how I want people to enjoy it, and hopefully it sparks a conversation. And I think food is like a great way to connect with people, and it sparks curiosity. And for when I do like make dinners for like a fashion client, and I'm usually like not going to be doing like sort of traditional catering. I'm going to obviously push forward my vision. And when people receive the dish, it's not something like they typically would have. And it just amazes me when they're like, they're able to taste it and be like, wow, this is amazing. Like, what is this? And then that's where I kind of come in and sort of like explain to them like what it is, where it's from. So, you know, that's where like the educational moment comes into play. So, I enjoy like sharing my culture and through that space. So, yeah, I just like want people to be curious and have like a bit of more of an open mind and see how I see the world through my taste buds and my lens. So yeah, just basically having like a very strong vision. And I feel like this book definitely tells and shows the vision of my world. It's like, it's beautiful, it's delicious, and it's timeless. So hopefully like in 10 years, like this book is still, I'm sure there's going to be like updates to it for sure, because I'm already running some issues with, not issues, but like, oh, you know, it should have been in the recipe, not like in the beginning of the book where like you have to go back, or like, because I list out the pantry items, and when you're like, oh, I'm making an egg roll, and then somebody reads it and like it's not the right egg roll wrapper. But
right. So the moral of that story is, if you're making the egg rolls in the book, check out the pantry section at the front where you talk about your preferred brands for some things. Because that does make a difference, right?
Oh, totally does. As I was writing this book, I was like repeating the same brands over and over again. Part of it, during the editing process, I was like, my editor was like, oh, we don't need to repeat this so many times. We can just put it in the beginning of the section. I'm like, I was like, okay. So like as a first time author, I'm like, I guess this is how you are wanting to do this. So I was like, okay. But now I'm like, you know, I'm luckily like I'm reachable on DMs, and people are asking me like, am I doing this right? So, you know, instead of like calling a 1-800 number, you can just DM me and be like, is this the right thing?
Yeah.
And so,
what else is happening in your DMs? Have people been tagging you in any like specific dishes they've been making?
Yes. there's this person, her name is Mads About Food. She basically like made a lot of like the spring dishes. So she made the pancit salad, she made the bubinka, and it was just so like exciting that people are actually cooking it because I don't know, this is my first time writing a book, so I don't really like it's just exciting to see and people share the dishes that they're making. So obviously like a lot of people are following like the spring section. So yeah, I'm just excited that people are actually like making the dishes.
Yeah, I feel like it must be exciting for you because you share your food with people a lot through events here in New York and other places, but you don't necessarily like publish a ton of recipes online in other places.
No.
So what was the recipe development process like for you? Did you sit down and make a list of everything you wanted in the book, or how did you figure it out?
I definitely knew I wanted to write dishes that I've kind of made a lot at events.
Woldy's hits.
Yeah, Woldy's hits. So definitely mushroom adobo. If people don't know what adobo is, traditionally it's made with a protein, which is like pork, chicken, or beef, or seafood even, and it's made with like soy sauce, vinegar, black peppercorns, bay leaf. It's like a stew. Instead of a protein, I did like a hearty mushroom. And so I kind of like push that a lot during when I do catered events, or especially like when there are a lot of dietary restrictions. I literally just like, all right, everything is gluten-free and vegan. And it surprises people that like this is like, you know, satiating for them. It's like, oh wow. I'm like, well, because I care that like going to like obviously dinners myself, I've always kind of like observe and take notes of like, okay, interesting. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to like make this more exciting and satisfying for people to enjoy. So mushroom adobo is my number one hit. And then I sound like a broken record, but like I always push for bubinka.
I'm obsessed with bubinka, but I think maybe people listening haven't tried it before. So can you break it down?
Yeah, so bubinka is like it's a Filipino coconut rice cake. Nicole Fonseca basically says bubinka is like our version of American cornbread. So traditionally, like bubinka is made in baked in banana leaf in a clay pot. And there is American cheese on top of it, and then also a salted duck egg. So it's like mostly savory, baked good. But I've kind of like used bubinka as a template for many different things, and I celebrate the sweet side of bubinka. And I use bubinka as like a way to like showcasing her in all different forms. I guess my way of expressing bubinka is like I make her during the summer a blueberry bubinka, or you top it with a coconut yogurt mousse on top, which is also in the book, and top with strawberries. There is a chocolate bubinka. You know, I have 10 variations of bubinka recipes, and I feel like though as I was writing the variations of bubinka, I had to sort of like test them all out and then give them to my my professional recipe tester developer. Shout out to Chef LJ Almendrez. So I got the stamp of approval from him, like, because he's from the Philippines. So I was like, girl, is this good? Is this great? So because part of me, I had a bit of like I was nervous, like, how is this going to be perceived in the mainland Philippines? And he just made sure, like, girl, you're doing it. I love how you're interpreting this, because, and that was kind of like the one thing I was kind of like concerned, like, how is this book going to be perceived? Because, you know, I just don't want to like piss anybody off.
People are really like assertive online over like culinary tradition and cultural tradition. And I think it's interesting because like there are a lot of Filipino dishes that are known in America are meaty dishes.
Yes.
But that isn't necessarily true of all of the cuisine of the Philippines, right?
Exactly. When people think of Filipino dishes as meaty dishes, I think they're thinking of like those are like celebratory dishes that we tend to enjoy during celebratory times.
Right.
So I'm hoping that like this book like shifts their perspective of it, or a different. It's a different take on it. It's a fresher take on it.
Yeah.
I'm just pushing it slightly forward where I am in my life. So, and I'm proud of like the book, and thus far, it's been received really well in the Philippines because I'm just happy that it's being sold in the Philippines. And there's this one person who came across my book at a bookstore in the Philippines, and I was touched by what he said about the book, and that made me feel like, oh, okay, I guess I'm doing this right.
Wait, what did he say?
Should I pull it up?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna pull it up.
Are we gonna read the DM?
No, it's actually he posted it on his and he wrote it on his caption. If
it's not too hard to find, let's pull it up.
No, it's not too hard to find because I was just like moved by it. His first name is IG Ramos, and he's a writer. He's a managing director of, I'm probably butchering this, Uganawan Center for Filipino Gastronomy. And he basically said, after getting my haircut, I stopped by fully booked just to browse. That was a big mistake. I took this home with me, which the picture of my book.
Yeah.
Woldy Reyes' cookbook, In the Kusina, My Seasonal Filipino Cooking. It is a lovely book written for the younger generation. When I looked through the recipes, I noticed a lot of vegetable-forward dishes and about 35 sausawan recipes. He is not going for authenticity. Instead, he is unabashedly attempting to fuse his well-tuned Western palate with diverse Filipino flavor profiles. This is an enchanting 21st century Filipino-American experience written for both Filipino and international audience.
Wow, that's so nice.
I was like, when I found out it's in the Philippines and he lives in the Philippines and he wrote this, it's like, oh, wow.
It's finding the right people.
Yeah, I got emotional about it just because I'm like, just thinking of like, oh, my family immigrated from the Philippines, and then now there's something that, I have something there back in the Philippines, like connecting with the people's air.
Yeah, it's a two-way dialogue, right, between the Filipino-American experience and the Filipino experience.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Something that he mentioned in that post as well is all of the sausawan. Something he mentioned in that post also is the 35 sausawan recipes, which are dipping sauces. Yes. And I live for a condiment, so I was very excited about this. What are like some of your favorite recipes in the book?
Well, first off, I'm a dip girly. So like I love a dip, like anything sauce. Like I'm a sauce girl. So like anything.
I feel like do you ever think about like sauce first when you're cooking? Because I always do. Yeah,
like 100%. Like the sauce just makes everything like just alive.
Yes.
And the one condiment I would call like the hero condiment is definitely the miso mushroom bagoong. For folks who don't know what bagoong is basically it's a fermented shrimp paste condiment. Traditionally, it's enjoyed in several different ways. One I really enjoy, like in a traditional like Filipino dish, is called a dish called kare kare, which is like an oxtail peanut butter stew. It's such a rich, indulgent stew, and the bagoong, basically the salinity and umami-ness from the fermented shrimp paste sort of cuts through the richness of the oxtail peanut butter stew. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to like, make like a plant-based version of it.
Yeah. Until
I came across Andrea Gentle's mushroom baguna kauda. She was serving it at a party for her book, and I was like, when I tasted it, I'm like, something hits my palate and my memory. I'm like, this is very familiar, and so I kind of like went home and tried to like recreate it, and sort of like hits that sort of like bagoong sort of like perhaps texture and also flavor profile. And I've made it a lot during like events, and people kind of like go wild for it because it's made with miso paste, a lot of garlic. There's a hint of sweetness from coconut jam, but if people can't find coconut jam, I substitute it for maple syrup. And then porcini mushroom powder. So, and it just like layers of this umami bomb that like really like makes people really like salivate for more. And I apply it in a lot of different recipes in the book. I really enjoy it like by itself with crunchy summer vegetables. Because it's having like raw vegetables and then that as sort of like bagoong as of sort of like the sauce and then all these like crunchy vessels is just like such a delight. But I also use it in a dish in the wintertime, this recipe called miso coconut pancit. I use the bagoong in the sauce and sort of melds into the coconut milk, and then throw in the spaghetti, and then it just like laces throughout the entire strands of spaghetti, and then it just adds this sort of like whole other dimension that makes this dish so craveable.
Yeah.
So that is, and then there's other like three or four other recipes in the book that uses miso mushroom bagoong. I think one of my fondest memories of the traditional use of bagoong is like my grandmother would take fermented shrimp paste and then cut up slices of mango, and then she would use the bagoong, put it on the mango, and then eat it with rice. And so in my cookbook in the summer, instead of mangoes, I like use green plums because they have that somewhat similar quality of the mango. So and that's kind of like how I kind of like interpreted the use of bagoong instead of like mango, green plums.
I love like a salty, savory, sweet, like maybe spicy even fruit moment.
Yes.
I feel like that's my favorite way to eat fruit. And I also like that you're providing so many different recipes that use this bagoong, because I feel like sometimes a cookbook asks you to make a lot by like making a sauce, and then if you're only using it in one way, it feels
I know.
kind of lost.
Listen, there are some recipes there. Oh, you only use it once, but
it's really good.
It's really good. But you can also like, oh, if you do make it, I'm open on my DMs, and you can just like tell me like, oh, can I use it in any other things? Like, I would give you like, maybe I should do a Substack. Like, oh, what other ways I could use the sauces for? So I try to answer as much the DMs as much as I can, because I just want to stay connected. Like, I'm in New York, and not everybody lives in New York, but I know like a lot of my community are in New York. But there's this woman, her Instagram handle is Lick the Plate, and she's from Seattle, Washington. Her name is Kathy, and she was DMing me about like the egg roll wrapper. So I was like, I asked her, did it come out crunchy? She said, yes, it did. But like, maybe next time, you can use this type of wrapper. And also like, oh, you don't need to use paper towels when you're, dipping the rice paper into the water, because she was having trouble with like peeling it off from the paper towels. Like, next time use a clean surface. And so
it's the kind of boutique advice you can get.
So I'm like reachable at most times. So
I want to ask you about like the aesthetics of this book, because it's so beautifully shot, and obviously both through your background in fashion and just your kind of aesthetic approach to cooking. I think I wasn't surprised that it was such a beautiful book, but it really is so pretty. And I was curious if you had a guiding vision for it, and like what the kind of shoot process was like for you.
I definitely have a guiding vision for it. And with my book designer, Lizzie Vaughn from Chronicles, knowing that like this book was structured, the season was kind of like the template.
Right.
So I kind of like use the color palette throughout the season. So like winter is very like whites and there's not a lot of color, but like it's still like soft,
like crisp and
cold. And then we transition into spring. Things are green, and obviously when you're in the East Coast, you see like cherry blossoms are starting to bloom. So we're lucky and fortunate enough, like we shot in spring, a certain pieces of spring during spring, because majority of we shot was during the winter. And I told my book designer, I'm like, I need to make sure like I shoot things that are actually like alive outside, and because the light in the winter is totally different than the light during the summer and spring. So that was like making sure that like I captured the essence of like the season. So like spring is kind of like very green, and then when you go into summer, it's like a lot more color and saturated.
You shot a picnic also.
Yes, we did. So I wanted to capture those moments during those seasons. And then fall obviously is like more deeper colors like browns and aubergine color, like burgundy. So we basically used the color palette of the seasons to sort of guide the sort of the visual language, you may say, in the book. So and I really enjoyed like working with the photographer Fujio. I knew like when I first met him a couple of years ago, and he shot something, and I've never seen his work before. And then he sent me like the photo of the dish that I made. I'm like, yep, you're going to be shooting my cookbook. So we had that sort of similarity in sort of like how, images should translate or communicate. And so, and he has a background in fashion. So, and there's a shared sensibility there. So, and I wanted to like, also like work with somebody new. And everybody that I work with in the creative side, we're all like friends or just new. And there's a sense of like enthusiasm when someone is new. So
and when you say new, you mean like new to doing stuff in the food space.
Relatively new. Like the food stylists are like, well, we're my friends, LJ and Tony. They're both chefs, and we've all worked together. So we all understand our like how we like to present our food. And Tara was the creative producer. So we all worked with each other, and we kind of like share the similar sensibilities. But we've never all like made a book together. So that was like the exciting part. But boy, there was challenges for sure. But the challenges actually pushed our limits and what we could I think we all just wanted to like, put the best beautiful work out there. And then this what came out of it.
You made a baby together.
We all made a baby together.
And it's so beautiful. And, you've done so much catering for parties and events that's in celebration to something else. So what did it feel like to get to, gather people around the book and like, plan the book party for yourself for a change?
To be honest, I didn't want to have a party.
Okay. You're like, I've done enough.
I'm like, and also it's like my first time. I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly, but what it is like people see me doing a lot of the parties. And the thought of throwing a party was like, oh, it's a lot of work. But and
I think sometimes people don't do events, so the idea of throwing the party is exciting, but when you really know how much work it is, then it's kind of a deterrent.
Yes. So, but I'm glad I threw a party. And it was definitely like a celebration, like all of our hard work, not just me, but like my team who worked on it. And I think like since then, like we we all were living and working together for like almost 2 weeks. And then obviously when we're done with the project, everybody goes and do like all different projects. And sometimes we would be like working on some projects together, but not all collectively. And so this was the opportunity, sort of like a reunion, and seeing like the book in the flesh, and just celebrating with my community who's been there to support, like either early on in my career, like 10 years ago, when I was schlepping all through like different photo studios or catering events for no money. And then now I'm here with like, oh my God, a book. It was like, it's like a culmination of like years of schlepping, crying, breakups, all of these things. Just like now it's like, I can sort of like say like I made a book.
Yeah, it's a huge accomplishment. And I want to close today by playing a rapid fire round with you. So I'm going to ask you to play some favorites. And you just tell me the first answer that comes to mind.
Well, I wrote it down.
Oh my God, no. It's spontaneous.
Okay.
You definitely didn't know ahead of time.
No, I'm not looking at my answers.
Okay, your favorite cookbook right now that isn't your own?
Zainab Issa's third culture cooking.
Yeah, I love talking with Zainab about her book too.
It's stunning. It's beautiful. It's delicious. It's just like who she is. And also like smart.
Smart, classy.
Yeah. It's just like, oh my God, I just can't get enough of her.
Your like go-to food to bring to the picnic?
Onigiri. Yeah. It's easy. It's handheld.
Do you make it or do you buy it?
Oh, girl, I'm going to go buy it.
I'm really excited. I just got an onigiri mold.
Oh, cool.
I know.
What shape?
They're just like the classic triangle. Honestly, I didn't want to buy one, but my girlfriend was like visiting her dad and he has one that he doesn't use. So she brought it back for me. But
amazing.
It's over. I'm going to be making onigiri out of everything this summer.
Great. Amazing. It's so like just rice and then all the fun things that you can put in it.
Exactly.
Like what's your favorite like?
Well, I buy like tuna mayo out. Yes. I feel like that's like the classic lunch one, but I'm excited to do like untraditional summer produce in onigiri form.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exciting.
Okay, your favorite ice cream flavor?
I love any ice cream flavor that has nuts in them. I like chomping on nuts and ice cream. So like the creaminess and the hard nut. It's just satisfying to me.
Yeah.
Cream and nuts go well together.
Do you know that the Mr. Softy trucks, like the soft serve trucks, they have peanuts that you can get on your ice cream? I just learned this.
Like just sprinkle on top?
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. More like love a good nut on there on top of it.
Yeah. Your favorite bakery in New York?
I am obsessing over Honey's, Chef Miro. Okay, this sounds probably like, very like standard for most bakery, but like his chocolate chip cookie is kind of like insane.
It's really good.
It's really good. He kind of explained to me how he makes it, and he didn't entirely, but like the ingredients are like he has 2 types of flour and 3 types of chocolate, like dark chocolate, white chocolate, and milk chocolate. And it's like, oh my God, it's like chewy and crunchy all at the same time. I'm like, heavenly.
I tell everyone about how good this bakery is because it's just so obvious like how much they care and how much effort is going into everything.
Exactly.
It tastes really good.
Really, really good.
Your favorite farmer's market in the city?
Union Square, Green Market.
Yeah.
Love them.
It is the best.
It's the best.
Your favorite place for Filipino food in New York?
Tito Rad's in Woodside, Queens.
Do you have a go-to order there?
I would order the lumpiang Shanghai. And I would order kare kare. Kare kare and rice, palabok. Those are, I think, the top dishes I would like eat at Tito Rad's. And also like at nighttime if they do like karaoke. Oh yeah. I love it. Don't get me started with karaoke. Do you have a karaoke song right now? A karaoke, I kind of like default to either 2 songs. One is I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. Classic. It's a classic. It's just easy sing along. Yeah. And the second one is Don't Don't Start Believing by The Journey.
Oh, yeah.
But also, not everybody knows about like I think I fell in love with the song when I was watching Glee.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
So it's like, oh wow, this is a cool song. And then I went on Apple iTunes and see like, okay, who is this?
Who is Journey?
Yeah.
The iconic.
Yeah.
My karaoke song is Glamorous by Fergie.
Oh, G.
Yeah, exactly.
A-
You could take it. It's a really good one.
O-R-O-U-S.
Okay. That's all the singing everyone's going to get. 2 more. Your go-to late night snack.
My go-to late night snack has to be Garden of Eden Red Hot Blues. Which is like a tortilla. It's a
It's a chip?
It's a chip.
Okay.
The Garden of Eden. Is it Garden? Yeah, it's Garden. It's the Garden of Eden. Yeah, it's a specific type of tortilla chip, and it's like it's spicy. I'm a chip person.
Yeah.
Like once I go in,
You're gonna eat it all.
I'm gonna eat it all. Like even the supersized bag of Garden of Eden Red Hot Blues.
It's Woldy size.
It's I'm like, oh, where did it all go? I still want more.
Okay, final question. Food scene, like from a book or a movie that you wish you could eat.
Definitely all the food scenes from Crazy Rich Asians. Especially when they were doing the street food scene.
They go to all the hawker stalls.
Yeah. The way they shot the food in this movie, it was just like amazing to see. I was just salivating. And then also like obviously in the other scenes where like they're doing the party and they see all the people like making the food. It was just like, wow. And I was like so excited that like they glamorized the food in that movie.
Yeah, I want to eat everything in that movie.
Same.
And I want to eat everything in your cookbook too. And thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me. Now I made it to the end.
You did it. This is Taste is hosted and produced by Matt Rodbard and me, Eliza Abarbanel. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell, logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.